talking about.
Well, actually, I think you've moved it on in this debate very quickly to your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a despicable racist. And you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
Well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be.
What do you mean your country?
Because I'm white and my
there are no black people in American history. Is that what you're saying? That they've all just landed in America, invading your white country? Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
My God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is stupid and racist. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves, do we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it?
I don't disagree, Mark. Listen, I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think you knew ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment, someone who's saying it's technically black people brought up. No, technically, Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can justify calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd.
Marquette, what's your take on that?
I'm just thinking about how funny it is to call a baby the N-word.
That's OD. Imagine playing at the park and you just see like some little, white baby. Let's just reverse it. Right. It has to be hate in my heart if I see this white little child. Yes. And I'm like, look at this. Right. Like, dang, like it has to be some hate there.
deep levels of hate, man.
Deep levels,
bro.
In regards to what Mark Lamont said, I think that's his name, Mark Lamont Hill. He's saying that, okay, well, the white man took the black people and enslaved, black people and stuff like that. And he's pretty much going currently right now, up until now, he's really playing the victim card. I don't think prior to this, he wasn't playing the victim card, but I think now the victim card is coming out a little bit. What's your take on what he said?
Listen, there's two perspectives. There's the truth, and then let's say this, there's truth and then there's perspective. How about that? There's truth and then there's perspective. So when the white supremacist anti-black woman states that this is our country, Mark Lamont Hill, being very liberal, his perspective is that, no, this is our country. That's what you guys have said, is it's our country. But that's his perspective. No, the truth is this is a white country. The United States of America is a white country. It was founded by white men who were fairly ruthless, and they organized the country for their benefit, and I trust for the benefit of their lineage. So it is correct. I mean, just because you were brought here to build it doesn't mean that it's yours. That just means you were exploited. Just the same as if I own a corporation outright, and I own several outright, if I hire someone, whether they're as an employee or an independent contractor, I'll work them to death, pay them pennies, and then fire them, and they get nothing. They own nothing. They were there for labor. So in as much as that's the case, it's not actually reasonable to state that black people built the country unless you're stating it in a literal sense. And they literally did build the country. For example, the White House, I do believe, was built on slave labor. I trust some of the geniuses in the chat can correct that if that's not a fact. But the fact is, this woman is a dimwit, but she is speaking something true, which is it is a white country. And it can be a country that is truly inclusive if the white majority would have it as such. According to the data, that's not the case. You look at the presidency, has 12% of the presidents been black? No. Is 12% of the Senate or Congress black? No. Not that you have to have apples to apples representation, but having the representation closer to that level would suggest that there's true enfranchisement. Singapore is a great example of seeing a multiracial society where people are mostly enfranchised, but still that's a Chinese society. It's an ethnic Chinese society. The Han Chinese are the majority. So that woman's speaking truth. In terms of Mark Lamont Hill, he's giving a perspective. He's speaking in an aspirational sense. And, he's a commentator. I believe he may have a professorship. And these academics, they like to do this. They'll never organize. They'll never get anything done. What white supremacists really secretly love, they love a Lamont Hill. They love a Ifa Tunde, King Kong consciousness, because he's never going to build a school. He's never going to do anything meaningful. He's going to this ball tried to do a 20v1. You hear me? Like, that's not revolutionary.
Oh, man.
So they love those types, but they hate someone like me that's deeply practical and pragmatic. You can't name one black person in the last couple of decades that's actually had any ideology. And so we can get this thing going. You heard me? So as I say, assassin or nothing.